Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I am Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. We're going to head back out to Illinois, but not to talk about the normal stuff we talk about in Illinois, but rather this ongoing conflict between local Illinois governments, Chicago in particular, and immigrations and customs enforcement. Because despite the fact that there has actually been violence towards federal agents trying to do their job, Mayor Johnson and Governor Pritzker want the world to believe that there's nothing to see here. Well, that wasn't enough, and the violence hasn't stopped the deportation efforts either. So what do we got now? Oh, that's right. Mayor Brandon Johnson is actually issuing an executive order as mayor of Chicago for what he's now calling ICE-free zones. But can a mayor even do that? You probably know the answer already, but let's spend a few minutes. We'll geek out on the law. So today, let's spend a few minutes and let's talk about, is Mayor Johnson's order even worth the paper it's printed on? All right, hey, listen, before we get going too far down the road we're going down, I want you to know that all the research for this video was done where? That's right, at GroundNews. If you're ready to break free from the media bias, check out GroundNews today. More information at the end of the video. Okay, now, Dateline, October 6th, 2025. Mayor Johnson's really in a bad mood. He's really in a bad mood. He's got all sorts of problems, and many of them apparently are caused by white supremacists and federal agents. He is now issuing a mayoral executive order which is creating ICE-free zones. Now, I'm not going to sit here and go through the entire order, but I am going to cherry pick a few things, and we're going to link the whole thing up down below so you can understand what the whole thing says. This order did go into effect on the date that he signed it, which is today, October 6th. You'll probably see the video on October 7th. But in pertinent parts, the order reads, whereas Chicago has long recognized that public safety is best achieved through trust and collaboration between residents and local government, not through the militarization or deputization of city resources in services of civil immigration enforcement. Well, first of all, Mayor, I don't think that Chicago has ever found anything remotely close to public safety. And if collaboration is what you believe is going to bring about public safety, you need to do a lot more collaborating. I have not seen the militarization nor deputization of any city resources, but hey, why let the facts get in the way of what you're trying to say? The order also goes on to read, whereas the use of city resources, property, and personnel to facilitate civil immigration enforcement action is inconsistent with and undermines both the spirit and intent of the city's welcoming city ordinance. So because it's in violation of a city ordinance, that should reign supreme over federal law, right? Now, in particular, when we get to the heart of the matter, the actual meat in this order, what exactly is Mayor Brandon Johnson ordering? Section 1. No city-owned and controlled parking lot, vacant lot, or garage shall be used as a staging area, processing location, or operation base for civil immigration enforcement. Now, when we get to Section 2 of the order, this is where I think things might get a little sticky for Mayor Johnson. We'll explain in a moment, because this is what he is ordering. City departments and agencies shall collaborate to identify city-owned and controlled parking lots, vacant lots, or garages that either have been used or are likely to be used in the future as a staging area, processing location, or operations base for the purpose of all civil immigration enforcement. City departments and agencies shall ensure that all such properties have clear signage stating, it's much like a gun-free zone, right? You post a sign, that should do it, right? The signs will read, this property is owned and controlled by the city of Chicago. It may not be used for civil immigration enforcement as a staging area, processing location, or operation base. But then listen to this. City departments and agencies shall further ensure that wherever appropriate, physical barriers such as locked gates are used to limit access to city-owned and controlled parking lots, vacant lots, or garages consistent with this order. Okay, and then in Section 3, the city's going to be kind enough to waste a bunch of taxpayer money, print a bunch of signage to give out to private property owners so that they too can make their properties ICE-free zones. Then you get to Section 4 of the order, paragraph 2 to be particular, and you ask yourself, well, does this order actually order anything? Because the mayor's language states, nothing in this order shall be construed as restricting or interfering with the execution of lawful judicial warrants or the enforcement of criminal law, nor as limiting the rights of any person or entity under state or federal law. But it would appear, of course, that ICE agents are in the process of enforcing federal immigration law, which this order says it does not prohibit. So I'm not sure whether the order really does anything. But even if it does, the real question is, can it? And the answer to that is clearly no. And it's clearly no for one reason. And then, not that Mayor Johnson's going to be watching Washington gun law, but if anybody can get a message to Mayor Johnson, I would like him to know that this order may have actually placed him in violation of federal law. And I'll explain that in a moment too. First of all, can the mayor of any city supersede federal law? The answer, of course, is no, of course he may not. Why is that? Well, because in the United States Constitution, Article 6, Section 2, we have what's known as the Supremacy Clause. And the Supremacy Clause says that federal law always, always, always trumps state law. Otherwise, if a mayor could just by executive order, sua sponte, just override federal law, well, since Mayor Johnson believes that the problem with this country and the problem that his city suffers from are caused by red states and conservative jurisdictions, what would stop a mayor in a conservative city from just saying that no resources can be used and we will not allow the enforcement of any federal anti-discrimination laws in our city? Now, do we honestly think that a mayor could get away with that? And even people like myself who consider themselves to be conservative in nature would be screaming bloody murder at the abuse of power that constituted. The good news is we don't have to scream about an abuse of power because the Constitution already lays out who has the power here, and federal law will always, always, always supersede state law and certainly any local ordinance, or not even in this case law. This is nothing more than a mayor's executive order. But Mayor Johnson, what you really need to be aware of is in Section 2 of your order, what you are asking city officials to do is actually assist in violation of federal law, specifically 8 United States Code Section 1324, which in pertinent part reads as follows. Any person who 3. Knowingly or in reckless disregard of the fact that an alien has come to, entered, or remains in the United States in violation of law, conceals, harbors, or shields from detection, or attempts to conceal, harbor, or shield from detection such alien in any place, including any building or by any means of transportation, shall be fined in accordance with Title 18 or imprisoned not more than 1 year or both. Now, that's specifically found in 8 United States Code Section 1324, subsection 1A3. But if we go down and we take a look at subsection 1A5, we also see that, hey, if you conspire to any of these acts, or you aid and abet in the completion of any of these acts, you are equally guilty under the same statute. Now, a simple way that I have explained this law to a lot of people who've been real curious about it is what this law essentially says is that local governments, such as the city of Chicago, such as the state of Illinois, are under no obligation whatsoever to cooperate and assist in federal immigration efforts. That is very clear. However, what they cannot do, and what actually constitutes a crime under this federal statute, is if you willfully hinder, obstruct, delay, or in any way thwart immigration efforts. And what Mayor Johnson is actually ordering city employees to do under Section 2 of his order is actually to aid and abet and to conspire in the very acts that are prohibited by 8 United States Code Section 1324. So, is the mayor's order actually even worth the paper it's printed on? The answer to that is no, it isn't. Listen, we're going to go ahead. We'll link up the applicable statutes down below so that you don't have to take our word for it. You can geek out on it for yourself. Now, if you got any other questions about this or about any of the stuff we normally cover here at Washington Gun Law, you should know how to get a hold of us by now. But if you don't, that information's down there in the description box. If you got an idea for a video, you click on that link right there and tell us all about it. If you want to subscribe to the monthly newsletter, that information's down in the description box. And then finally, and most importantly, let's everyone remember that part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching and stay safe. Okay, let's remember, like always, all the research we did for today's video was done where? That's right, at GroundNews. Why is that? Well, I like to get treated like an adult, and I bet you do too. And when you have a platform that's going to scour over 50,000 independent news sources and give you a biased distribution breakdown, let you know how the headlines are being manipulated, oh my gosh, it actually allows you to make up your own mind. Check out the blind spot. This will show you stories that are being disproportionately reported by one side of the political spectrum or the other. And right now, you can get every feature that GroundNews has to offer through a Vantage Plan at 40% off And all you got to do is go to ground.news/Washington or scan this QR code right here. Listen, if you're finally ready to break free from media manipulation, visit my friends today at ground.news/Washington.